Welcome to the Entrepreneurs Network radio show. Our mission is to interview successful entrepreneurs who are willing to share with us their ideas and experiences, both the successes and the failures. Because as it has been jokingly said, you should learn from the mistakes of others because you'll never live long enough to make them all yourself. My name is Ike Engelbaum, and I'm the founder of the Entrepreneurs Network of Michigan, which is a group of motivated people that are all interested in helping each other and achieving our personal and professional goals. Please check out our website, entrepreneursnetworkofmichigan.com, for meeting schedule as well as self-improvement material. Our philosophy is that if it's to be, it's up to me. And as they say in showbiz, back by popular demand is Jerry Miller. In fact, to be specific, it's Jerry R. Miller. And he's been described as a professional photographer and a master of moving mountains and helping you fulfill your dreams. He's been successful in photography, and interestingly enough, because of his experience in photography, he has developed a Miller formula for making you a success. And he's written a book, and he's got a business card showing him as a cowboy, and he's got a regular horse along with it. And his book is titled Go to War Against Fear and Doubt. Destroy the roadblocks to success is the tagline. And Jerry Miller is a speaker, motivator, and a life coach. Is that right, Jerry Miller?
That is right. I think that this program and this group of success-oriented people are unbelievable in building strength and bringing strength back to America and helping people fulfill their dreams and make their dreams come true. And so I want to be a part of being a coach to your listeners and give them some of the ideas that I learned during my 68 years on being on this earth.
Well, listen, actually, the key in life is to try to help others. And I know you have heard of Maimonides, and,
Right.
and Maimonides is looked upon as one of our great philosophers, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was a medical doctor too, was he not?
Right. Well, I believe that it's the obligation of the older generation to share their life history, their lessons with the new generation to help them avoid making the same mistakes that they did, and to mentor. And whenever I see a person struggling, I say, take an expert to lunch or for coffee. If you have a dream about going into a certain field like photography or being an author or speaker, go talk to somebody who's doing it, and they'll open up doors and show you some of the shortcuts. So when you don't go to someone who's not doing what you're looking for, go to somebody who's making it happen right away.
Right. Well, you know, I go to quite a few meetings, and I belong to quite a few different organizations, and invariably somewhere will come along someone that says, gee, we don't, let's say if it's an organization, we don't have quite the membership that we used to have. It seems like we're having more and more people leaving than coming. My constant suggestion is, why don't we look at the other organizations around the country that are building their membership? What are they doing that we're not?
Well, they say that you can get anything in life you want, and if you just help enough people in life get what they want. And so the magic formula about building anything is supply and demand. What can you offer somebody? And the biggest problem with many organizations is they don't make a 60-second commercial. They don't know really, they don't define where they're going, what their goal is, what their strengths and what their weaknesses. And that's one of the lessons that I bring to people in my book, Go to War, is that you have to know who you are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and constantly build your strengths up.
Right. Well, I wanted to finish the thought of Maimonides, who said that the greatest deed that you can achieve in life is to help someone become self-sufficient.
Correct.
And I think that's one of the wonderful things about your book, Go to War Against Fear and Doubt, because you have come up with a Miller formula that it's almost like a GPS formula for success. And when we get back from our break, we're going to put you on the spot, Mr. Jerry Miller,
Wow.
and we're going to ask you 4 steps
Wow.
that you have identified in your formula, and we're going to find out the secret saucer formula of Jerry Miller. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back. And we're back, folks. Hopefully you are as well. And in studio with me is Jerry Miller. And Jerry Miller is a speaker, motivator, and life coach who has written a book titled Go to War Against Fear and Doubt. And on his business card, he actually looks like a cowboy with a regular cowboy hat, and he's there with standing with a horse. And Jerry, I understand you actually have a few horses. Is that right?
Right. Also, if people want to get a copy of my book or download something, they can go to my website, gotowarthebook.com, and we'll take care of them. I decided that I needed a hero, and while I was growing up, there were the Cowboys of Gene Autry and Roy Rogers and Hopalong Cassidy, and they believed in truth, honesty, hard work. Don't fix it if it isn't broken. And the nice part about if you did those things, the good guy always got the girl. And so I didn't know where I was going in life. I looked at these heroes, and one of these, and I grew up to be a cowboy. So I have 3 horses in my backyard and the sidearm to back up going to war against fear and doubt.
I see. Well, we're going to go into your Miller formula for actually being successful in attracting money, and I can't help but realize how significant it is that you have horses, because isn't that one of the common things? You have to have common sense or horse sense, right?
That's right. And that's what we're struggling. The biggest struggle to success is finding your truth and getting to know who you are. A lot of people go through life and they don't actually know who they are. They don't know what gives them pleasure. They don't know if they're in pain or suffering. They don't actually listen to their environment. They're not sensitive to their own self. So one of the biggest goals in my book and in my life in helping people is get to know who you are, what brings you pleasure, what friends, what activities bring you pleasure, and what do you want to stay away from that causes you pain and low self-esteem and enslaves you.
Somebody that's is close to you, a true friend, as they say, and a business coach will, just like a good friend, will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, okay?
Right.
And that's what your Miller formula from Jerry Miller is all about. Number 1 is know yourself. What about number 2, about knowing your strengths?
So most people don't sit down and write that commercial about who they are and what they believe in, what are their strong points. So I tell everybody to take some time alone, sit down and write all your positive attributes. I'm honest. I'm a happy person. I'm willing to go the extra mile. And from a person who's 8 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, 40, 50 should sit there and list why they are so valuable and why they're such a gift to the world and how they can be a blessing on this earth. And so we should look right at our own lives to address what our strengths are and make those strengths stronger, because the things that we're strong in bring us pleasure and keep us in happiness and raise our self-esteem and elevate our energy. And therefore, in addition to that, we should know the opposite of what our weaknesses are. And yet we can strengthen all these weaknesses one at a time. Like any other muscle that's weak, we can, through repetition, can make it stronger and build a superhuman being.
If you're going to go in the business and you try to do everything yourself without a partner, and I'm not saying everybody should have a partner, but if you don't want to have a full-blown partner, at least have a mentor or constantly be learning. And I know that having read your, or at least most of your book, I must admit I didn't read it thoroughly, but I got at the gist of Go to War Against Fear and Doubt. You share your life's experiences in that book, don't you?
All right, but the one thing that I want to disagree with you is this, is that I took every one of my weaknesses and turned it into strength. I was afraid of water. I took up scuba diving. I was afraid of heights. I went to the Alps and learned skiing. I was afraid to talk in public. I joined Toastmasters. I was afraid to write, and I wrote a book. So when you do the thing you fear it no more. I believe that at birth, you have all these hidden gifts inside of you. And when you go against the things that you fear and face them, you find out that your fears specifically are a GPS to take you where you need to go for your next levels of success. I was petrified of horses. I went out there, I learned how to ride, and eventually I got it my own horse and found that I loved it. And the same thing with speaking. I had a lot of negative self-talk about going in front of an audience. I practiced and learned from the experts and found that I love to talk. So sometimes when you do the thing you fear,
Right.
You fear no more, and that's what my book's about, taking you by the hand and facing your fears and overcoming them and becoming healthy, wealthy, and wise. I believe that everybody has unlimited potential for all the health, wealth, and wisdom and happiness that they just have to get out of their own way to attain it.
Right. Well, the truth of it is that you also have to be realistic, and I don't mind sharing my weakness by way of bringing people in at the risk of sounding braggiose. I graduated as a pharmacist and enjoyed the sales and the marketing and the merchandising part of the business, but I hated the administrative and financial part. So I was fortunate enough that my cousin loved to do that, and he's very good at it, and that's why we made a great team.
All right, but you weren't afraid of it. You just didn't want to do it,
well,
which is
right,
intelligent.
Right. I certainly have to give a try to get in there, and the truth of it is that there are people out there that are so embarrassed about identifying a weakness that they just go frustrated through life and not achieving their true potential only because they didn't bring in somebody that can help them along the way.
All right, but in addition to that, the biggest positive in a person's life besides knowing themselves is dreaming big dreams. And I always said, dream big dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become. But you only receive that which you earn, no more, no less. So if you have a dream, the opportunity will come in front of you to take advantage of that dream, but there's no free ride. You have to go to war against your fears. You have to become knowledgeable in that field. And the definition of luck is when opportunity meets preparedness, and there's no such thing as luck. You study, you become an expert in a field, and then the opportunity comes, and wow, you're lucky.
Right. But in all due respect, it is so critical, and I hate to frustrate people. I would like to be a basketball player, but I'm 5'7". So the point is, it ain't gonna work for me. That doesn't mean that I can't play basketball on my own field. But a superstar, I probably have no chance of making. I know I can't make it. So the point is that you have to identify a talent, and I agree with you 100%. That if you think small, that's where you'll end up being. You have to think big. In fact, the sad part is, and I hope I don't mess up the quotation, it says the biggest problem that people face in life is not that they make commitments that are too high, they many times settle for things that are much lower than they should have.
I want to tell you this. I was riding my horse one day, and I got a call from California. I'm in Michigan, and a woman said, we're having a birthday party for my husband in Cancun, Mexico. Do you think you can handle it? After I swallowed, we'll come back and maybe tell the rest.
Well, no, I'm sorry. We're sort of run out of time.
Wow.
And you ended up in Cancun.
Doing it and then meeting people who had drove their own jet planes. And the secret to their success was dreaming big dreams.
Well, let's dream big and hopefully successful, but make sure you got a talent for that dream. Right now, unfortunately, we've run out of time, and I only have enough time for my parting thought, which is, if you really want to get anything done in life, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. And there is no excuse for not achieving your dreams and goals in America, because it's the greatest country in the whole world. Remember, a goal is just a dream with a deadline.